Hey guys, and welcome to the second episode of the Brewlag podcast. This week I'm joined by Liam,
Hey guys.
joined by Will also,
Alright, how's it going?
and last but not least, Callum.
Hello, hello.
So guys, what have we been up to this week? It's another long week in lockdown in the books, another long week of getting through the craft beers. What's everybody been up to, Liam?
To be fair, mate, it's been a bit of a busy week. Back off furlough this week. It's a nice return to the normal, I guess. This new normal that everyone's drumming on about. But the new normal for me is just trying out new beers, so I'm not going to complain with that too much. Yeah, just a good old week, back to work, back on the beers. Can't complain at all.
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely had a cheeky few beers while I'm supposed to be getting my work done. Like I even managed to have a sneaky one on a Zoom call and disguise it as an apple juice. So that was pretty good. Carl, what about you? What have you been up to this week?
I'll be honest, mate. I'm starting to get really sick of lockdown. I want to go out and do stuff. I want to go out, see my friends, and all that. It's just it is a bit shit. It's a bit shit. But I mean, apart from that, yeah, sort of similar to Swin. I've been trying different breweries, getting some new beer orders in. It's basically now the only thing I'm spending my money on really is beer. It started off quite cheap and it's gradually getting more expensive. So it's like the price is steadily racking up on my bank account. But,
yeah, I find that it's like
Yeah.
it started off as going to the supermarket and buying like a case of like normal beer, and now it's getting to the point where it's like on a Friday, yeah, I can spare 40 quid on a craft beer order. Like, why not? Yeah.
Are you guys finding though as well that the more money you're spending, the higher the quality of the beer is? Or is that just me?
Yeah, no, definitely.
I'd probably agree with that. Like, I mean, you can definitely tell. Like, in some cases, like if you spend like I don't know, say it's like £5 a can or like £6 a can. There are some cases where you can definitely tell. You think, this is a really well put together beer.
Yes.
But I mean, there's always the one or two like outliers where it's like you spend like it's like £8 a can. You drink it, it tastes like pure shit. It's just like, oh.
Yeah,
There's always the piss masquerading as a nice beer, isn't there? There's always going to be there. What about you, Will? What have you been up to?
it just goes on, doesn't it? Like, I'm still through it. It's just not ending. I feel like I'm in a time loop. I've lost all track of days. I thought Thursday was Tuesday, and I mean, at this point, I'm glad I've got the podcast of you fellas, because I'm trying different beers, which one of the few things that can come out of this, really. I've tried different types of beers as well, and my local craft beer shop is open, which is brilliant, and I was able to get one of my favourite beers of all time, which is an Arbor beer. I mean, it's like £3 something. You get like a whole pint can, and that was really brilliant. That was, and I mean, I saw some friends last weekend. That was nice. I actually had human interaction.
More and more eases to these lockdown rules that sit in place, whereas me and Swin sit here in Wales just like a week behind. It feels it feels like you guys are like the US and we're Canada. Like we're getting everything like 10 years later than you guys are.
Yeah, you're right there, mate. What I will say as well, Mark Drayford, if you're listening, sort it out. Come on, sort the boys out.
Please open Tiny Rebel Brewery again. I really need to go and sit. Which actually brings us quite nicely on to today's episode, where when we get into the review a bit later on, it is going to be Cali Pale today by Tiny Rebel. In terms of like Tiny Rebel and stuff, obviously we spoke before about how good their can designs are. I did have a question prep for you guys this week, which is, what is the best beer can design you've actually seen this week? Be that in person or on the gram, as they say. Like there are some companies out there who are quite different, and then there are some who are a bit uniform, but I've definitely seen some really cool cans in the last week, so I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts. Will, what have you seen in the last week?
Well, there's been a few. I had the Peaches and Cream by Tiny Rebel earlier this week, and it was quite simplistic, but the bright orange beer can is not something you really see too often. We've all got a big case of Siren beers this week, and I don't want to spoil too much of that because I think that's for a future episode. But, all around their beer cans are top notch. They're really, really good, and I love them. I still got a few next to me, and
yeah, I really like the Siren designs as well. It's like, I think we had the conversation not long ago that as much as they all stick to the same sort of like uniform style, the change in the colours and stuff makes you it's subtle enough that you can I like a brand that you can tell the beer by the colour, not necessarily by a completely different design.
Yeah, I really like that. It sets it apart, doesn't it? And you know what you're having each time.
Exactly. Liam, you're a man who knows his design. What about you? What have you seen this week?
If I'm going to go out on one beer and say that I've seen this week, just purely on can design alone, it's the Piston Heads Amber Ale Lager. I managed to pick up a can of that in my local supermarket, and I don't know why, but the colour that they have going on, the sort of bronze colour, is sort of replicates what the actual colour of the beer is. And in my books as well, anything which is a bit edgy on the design. So it has a black skull on the design, and so anything with that sort of design on it's got my attention straight away. You know, a little bit of a metalhead at heart. You know how it goes.
Such an emo.
One of those scene kids, you know.
Listening to Metro Station.
It never goes away. I mean, once you're like an emo kid, scene kid at age of 13, 14, 10 years can go by. It's still there. The hair may have changed, but at heart, it doesn't go away.
Oh, 100%. I clung on to the mop till I was 19 years old before I cut the hair short. And now with lockdown, it's coming back. I can feel a Fall Out Boy album coming any second now.
I've still got it.
What about you, Cal? What have you seen this week?
I'm sort of echoing what you chaps have said with the Siren beers. I got the big mix case that they did. So I can't remember how many cans it was. I think it was like 12 cans total.
Yeah.
You just got like a whole mix of like individual cans, which I actually thought really cool. Big fan of the like the black can. Thought that was awesome. They've got some really just like nice designs on there as well. Each one is like vastly different as well, in terms of like how they separate them individually, which is really cool. I actually really like those. But apart from that, I've sort of had mostly like the same beers this week.
Cool.
So haven't seen anything sort of too extravagantly different from what I'm used to be honest.
I'll tell you what, I was actually looking on Instagram. I've not been lucky enough to buy any yet because every time I've looked, they've been out of stock. But there's a company I've seen on Instagram called Deya, Deya. And
Okay, yeah.
they do
Okay.
kind of Mexican Cinco de Mayo designs on all their cans, and they look incredible and they look really, really good. And I think they're sort of, I might be wrong, but every can I've seen so far has been like a 440ml, like or above. So it looks like you get good value for money as well, like a fair amount of beer for what you pay for
That's
them.
solid. That's really solid, Joe.
Yeah, I
What
think
type of beer is it?
so it's like kind of like Siren in a way, kind of like the mix, you know, like the IPAs and your dry hop lagers and whatnot. But obviously this week as well, I've been on the sours and been absolutely loving those. So I can't wait to get a sours episode coming
You
out.
introduced me to that.
I know. I can't believe you haven't had a sour before.
I know it's taken this long, and so I can't believe it either because I had just one from the Siren box, and that was brilliant. That was. Can't wait to get one on the podcast at some point.
I don't know if you've had it yet, Cal. Have you had the Siren Calypso? Yeah.
The Calypso. I've been eyeing it up, but I've put it off because it's been a sour.
Oh, right.
Have it.
So I've definitely been tempted. I may crack it open later tonight, but yeah. I mean, like, normally I prefer to stick to sort of like what I know, like what I'm comfortable with. Like normally I stick to like pale ales, IPAs, etc.
Yeah.
Rather than sort of trying to make a push for like stouts and sours and
Yeah.
things. But I'm happy to branch out. Yeah, like I said, I'll probably crack it open later tonight. I'm sure it'll be very nice.
Well, actually,
I trust your judgment of beer.
It's good.
To be fair,
It's good.
we're going to make you feel uncomfortable next week when we review the Siren Blueberry Muffin IPA, which has already been earmarked.
Yes.
It's already earmarked as episode 3. That is episode 3,
no.
and it's going to be great. I cannot wait to see your reaction.
Do you know, I can't wait to actually
God.
give that a taste, right? Because I get the feeling, I've been doing a little bit of research on it, and from various sorts of people I'm watching on YouTube and Instagram, etc., this is really a Marmite beer. So
Yeah.
I am dying to see if it is supposed to be this 50-50 split, and whether two of us say we love it and two of us say we hate it. I don't know how it's going to go.
Oh, I'd
but
love
I am
that.
really excited to see it. I'm super excited.
I'd love an on-podcast debate about a certain beer. I'd love it if we were
yeah.
just completely split down the middle.
I mean, I have my doubts. I have my doubts. I'm not gonna lie.
There's a strong sense of both excitement and pure dread. I can feel.
You just hear the fear in his voice now that he just doesn't want to drink it at all.
Powerful sense of dread. That's what we can feel right now.
Literally.
Given the last stout you had was tipped and I quote, half of it tipped in the Thames. I'm interested to see where this blueberry muffin IPA gets tipped in your house during lockdown.
And that is a direct quote. He said that in the first episode. That is a direct quote.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out the
Well,
first podcast, actually, to be fair, on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Brewlag podcast, you can catch it now. It's about Beavertown's Lupoloid IPA, and Callum's like basically just slates any type of beer that isn't an IPA or like a West Coast or anything like that. So
I don't know what you're on about, mate. I'm completely fair and impartial towards stouts and sours.
But anyway, I suppose we should probably move on to what we're actually reviewing this week, which we've already mentioned is Cali Pale, even by Tiny
Cali Pale?
Cali Pale.
I've obviously just had too many beers already at this point. Like, you know, I'm already smashed on pod. But yeah, Tiny Rebel. We've mentioned them so much. We mentioned them a lot in the first pod, and we've mentioned them on this one. They're such a fantastic brewery. They're the youngest and only Welsh brewery to win Champion Beer of Britain. They're the only brewery to have won gold, silver, and bronze in the Champion Beer of Wales competition. That was in their first year as well, and they're the only brewery to defend the gold consecutively as well. I believe that was with Cwtch that won those awards, the Welsh Red Ale.
It would definitely make sense. It's such a good
Brilliant.
beer as well.
Yeah, literally. So, and I just find it amazing that it's literally two guys that started in a garage. I believe they're like brothers-in-law, and they just started brewing their own beer in a garage, and now they've got like a bespoke brewery that's like grown massively since.
We're such
2012.
fanboys, aren't we?
We are massive.
We are just such fanboys.
I'm literally, I'm absolutely ribbing them just in the hope that one day they send us free beer or like free merch, because
Yeah.
their merch
no.
is better than so many beer
It's
companies.
really
Like they absolutely nail their merch more than anyone
They do,
else, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
like-
they've supported us a fair bit on Instagram as well. They've liked a lot of our stuff. They put us on their stories. They've done well. Thanks,
Yeah.
Tiny Rebel.
Thanks, guys.
I think you
Cheers,
might,
send us free stuff.
they're not going to shag you, Will. Don't worry, mate. They're not
Oh.
gonna shag you, mate. You need to stop. I think we need a few more listeners before we're like, oh yeah, we've got a really good relationship with them on Instagram. Like, yeah, they love us so much. They listen to the pod every week. One episode in, and he's already like.
I'm not going to say anything for the rest of the podcast now.
Yeah, obviously we reviewed, we will be reviewing Cali Pale this week. We've had sort of various people who've drank it. Obviously Liam and Will, I think you guys have kind of kept it quite chill. Cal, you've probably had one or two more, and then I have absolutely seshed on it on Friday night, because I think it's important to have that designated guy who just gets absolutely trashed on whatever we're reviewing.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to break it down into our usual areas, and I think I'm going to kick off with you, Liam. What do you think of the can design? What are you giving it out of 5, and why?
Right, so I'll start off with my rating. I'm going to go with a 3.5 out of 5. I really like the base colour to it. I think the base colour really encapsulates the sort of feeling that they're trying to get, this sort of California feel. It's nice and light, it's easy on the eyes. Obviously you have these little pine trees and bicycles as well, and the orange writing again, sort of giving you that sunset vibe. It's a nice sort of feel to the can, and again I think it encapsulates what they're trying to do really well. I wouldn't give it any higher though than the 3.5, as there are way nicer can designs that Tiny Rebel have done. Way nicer. And I know I'm echoing myself when I've said that with Beavertown last week, but this is especially true with Cali Pale. This is definitely on the lower end of the can designs that Tiny Rebel have done. Hence why the 3.5 I think is quite fair.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's as Tiny Rebel cans go, they're usually quite garish, quite out there, and they manage to encapsulate the character of the beer really well. Usually in the can, like the Key Lime Lager, for example. I'll just rattle that off as a quick example.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting immediately by looking at the can. Whereas with Cali
bright
Pale,
bright green lime flavours.
exactly, and it's vibrant, and like that taste hits you as soon as you drink it. Cali Pale, I suppose, kind of it strays away from that, because you look at it and it's quite neutral, and you feel like I could get anything here. Like, it might be a lovely juicy IPA, but it also might be, you know, it could be anything in there.
Yeah, the description says juicy pale, and whilst it's juicy covers a lot of things.
Definitely does.
Like, there's a lot of juices out there. You know what I mean? It can cover a lot of different things.
Absolutely. Callum, you're a man who obviously this is your bread and butter. These kind of pale ales. What are you giving it and why for the can design?
I'm gonna be pretty blunt. I'm basically gonna copy Liam here in terms of the answer. I'm giving it a slightly lower. I'm gonna give it a 3.
Cool.
Only I don't think it's not that harsh realistically, because the thing, like, it's a very nice can, and like you say, you know, it definitely gives you that vibe of what the ale is going to taste like and what you're going to get out of it. But I sort of feel like, you know, like you say, that there's better stuff out there. You know, we kind of mentioned the Siren ones we had earlier, and that I feel is the sort of design that I'd be sort of aspiring towards for, like, you know, the 5s. I think. I sort of feel like the Cali Pale, it sort of matches sort of what I think it is as a beer. It's you know, it's solid. I wouldn't say it's, you know, up there tip top, you know, one of the best. I feel like that's the general vibe that I'm getting from what we're all sort of saying about.
Yeah,
the,
I think the general consensus so far has been that it's nice. It looks the part, but at the same time, it's weak in comparison to what else is on the market. And I don't know if I was in Sainsbury's and or wherever, if I was in a craft beer shop and I looked at Cali Pale next to another can, even another Tiny Rebel can, like a Shakedown or a Kutch, I don't think I'd pick Cali Pale based purely on its can design, because a lot of the time, that's the thing you see first with a beer. You know, you see the design and you think, wow, like, that looks good. Then you read the title and that's what decides it. And I think that initial look of the can, it doesn't jump out to me as, wow, I need to try this beer. I'm going to echo you guys with that. My scoring for it is a 3 as well, similar to you, Cal, because I just, for all the reasons that we've mentioned before, and I just think it's, although in other categories, you know, we'll break it down what it is, I think just off that first impression, it doesn't actually jump out to me as like a great beer just purely off the can design. What about you?
I get what you're saying there. I get what you're saying there as well. Sorry to interrupt you there.
That's
but
fine.
I think a word that which I was missing from what I was trying to say there is distinctiveness.
Yes.
You mentioned Kutch earlier on, and I think we can all agree that the can design of Kutch is, again, it's like Marmite. You either love it or you hate it.
Yeah.
But it's distinct and it's gonna grab your attention. I don't know if this will.
No.
I just don't. I don't know if it will.
Absolutely.
As good as a taste as this beer is, I don't know if that design is going to grab your attention. I really don't.
No, I think you need to know what you were getting into, and you'd need to know what you were looking for before you bought it, because you definitely, you know, there will be people out there, like anything, you know, that think this kind of can design is perfect. You know, they love that kind of simplistic feel, and they'll buy it based on that alone. But I think, just for my personal taste, it lacks a little something. What about yourself, Will?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys have pretty much described a lot of things I was going to say. I mean, first of all, you don't really see kind of turquoise in a lot of beers or in other sort of drinks in general. I quite like it. It does, that aspect of it stands out. And again, it does describe what it's trying to come across as, you know, quite a juicy ale. But apart from that, compared to even its own competition with other Tiny Rebel beers, it's not as wacky out and as out there. Yeah. So, I mean, in the past, I know Tiny Rebel have redesigned cans, haven't they? You never know. I see this as potentially being one they might redesign, but you never know. But, you know, it's good. I like it. It's not awful by any stretch of imagination.
It's not hideous.
No, it's not. It's
hideous
nice.
at all.
It's a nice beer can, and that's the best way to describe it. It's a nice, good beer can, but I wouldn't give it any more than a 3.5.
Yeah, I think that's the top end of what it can achieve. Just, and like you say, just by its own competition, it's fairly. I think the only reason we're giving it that kind of score and we're saying that is because we've been so impressed by Tiny Rebel's other can designs that we're just like it's kind of a little on the side of underwhelming for what they're capable of, because their branding is fantastic. We're like, even down to just their normal logo with like the teddy bear with like the cross for eyes and stuff. Like, they're generally a really cool brand, and I think it's kind of it draws away from what they normally are. But you know, jumping into taste, I think there's no man's opinion I trust more on the taste than Callum. So I'm gonna jump to you first to give me the lowdown on the taste, Cal.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so sort of going back to like how we sort of talked about the can design, like the way when you drink Cali Pale, it's you definitely get the sense that it's just like a very sort of summery, very easy to drink, very light pale ale, and that I think is just the essence of it. You drink it; it's very smooth, really easy to drink. It's not heavy; it doesn't sit in your mouth. But I mean, so like that, I feel like it sort of helps the taste because they're definitely. I wouldn't say when you drink it, you sort of get hit with like a really sort of strong, out there flavour. There are hints of like tropical fruits, like your mango and your grapefruit and all that. But I wouldn't I wouldn't drink Cali Pale and say that is a really really strong flavour of ale essentially.
It's the exact opposite of Lupuloid, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lupuloid is like a very malty, smacks you in the face sort of beer.
Yeah.
Whereas this is much more like it's just very light. I don't think there's as much to it as other beers out there. So my taste rating would probably be a 3 again. Because the thing is, like, I'm by no means I'm saying it's a bad beer. I think it's very nice. I think it's very easy to drink, very lovely. But I feel that there's nicer flavours out there and stronger flavours out there. And I feel like you chaps might echo that.
I definitely would. I would definitely agree with that. I think it's one of those, like you say, it's a juicy pale ale, and you see that on the can and you immediately get it from that first sip, like especially if you've had it like chilling in the fridge, like as I've mentioned, like chill your beers before you drink them. Do not drink them
every
lukewarm.
time. Chill them every time.
Chill the beer. I cannot stand people who drink a lukewarm beer. It infuriates. It's like people who drink a glass of milk. It winds me up. There's no point. But
for any milk drinkers out there, I'm sorry, by the way.
Oh no, I'm not. Fuck off.
Nah, send for them. Send for them.
Diss track incoming on all the milk drinkers out there. But Cali Pale's one of those, like, you get that first sip, especially if it's cold, if you've done it properly. It's very juicy, it hits you, it's very easy to drink, and then as soon as that kind of initial sip is gone, you settle in and you think, wow, I could probably drink quite a few of these and really just not feel it, and not feel like I've actually drank anything at all. I don't think it's got that distinct craft beer flavour that a lot of other craft beers have. I don't think I wouldn't be able to tell it apart from a lot of others, because it's quite, by Tiny Rebel's own standards again, and by a lot of other craft breweries' own standards, it's fairly basic as juicy pales go, and that's just my opinion.
It's a good basic though. It's a good.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't ever slate it. Like I mean I just have, but like I wouldn't not drink it. Like, I enjoy it as a drink objectively, but I just think, again, like, even with its own competition or with another beer, I would choose other beers over it, because I just think it's definitely a session beer that you could drink 7 or 8 of, but I'm not necessarily sure you'd come off of those 7 or 8 and say, wow, what a delicious drink. I don't think you'd be writing home about it, which is my reasoning for giving it a 3.5 during the taste. I'm gonna kind of, I'll give it like 0.5 more than Cal, just because I love Tiny Rebel that much and I can't stand to see them get a bog standard 3, but
Slightly hypocritical, but mate, they ain't gonna shag you. Same for Will. Come on, man.
He's had me on toast. Yeah. What about you, Swin? You seem like you're chomping at the bit to get into the taste of this one.
I don't know about chomping at the bit, but I'm gonna sort of echo what you say, but maybe take it a step further. The point you made about distinctiveness, I actually really like that point. I don't think you could tell that this is a Tiny Rebel beer just by drinking it. Because Tiny Rebel flavoured beers, they're always distinct, always. You look at Pump Up the Jam, Key Lime Lager, Kutch, just to name 3 off the top of my head. Each one of those, you will remember that flavour straight away. You will not remember the flavour with this in, say, 2 months' time after drinking it. So that's why I think I'd give it probably a 3.5. As lovely as it is, as nice and juicy as it is, as refreshing as it is that going to stick on the mind? Am I going to think to myself, wow, I need to try this again in, say, 3 or 4 weeks' time? And the answer is no. I just wouldn't. It lacks that distinctive character. For example, right, if Brewdog made a beer like this, I couldn't tell the difference between this beer coming from Tiny Rebel or a beer coming from Brewdog.
Yeah.
it hasn't got that distinct character, whereas other Tiny Rebel beers do.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I think that's why the rating can't get any higher than 3.5 for me.
Yeah,
Short and sweet, but yeah, 3.5.
Yeah, I think you bang on there. I think you've probably put it a lot better, a lot more eloquently than I did. I was just trying to like kind of defend them whilst giving them a slightly lower score. But yeah, I think definitely that point about them and like, you know, if it was brewed by another company, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between that and like
No, definitely not.
You know,
No.
a punk IPA or whatever. But Will, you know, again, we've come to you last on the taste. You know, you bided your time. You've analysed the evidence. What are you saying? Why are you saying it? Tell me, big man. Come on.
Come on, big man!
I'll be quick. I mean, again, you guys have said all the things I was going to say. I think that's why you put me that.
2 weeks in a row.
You're always quick,
I
Will.
mean-
Come on, you're always quick.
It's described as juicy, and it definitely is. And the juice I'm getting is orange. It's quite an orangey.
Oh, I don't know. I
That's
don't
what
know
I'm
orange.
getting. That's what I'm getting.
All right.
It's definitely
Alright,
not
okay.
My
orange,
taste
but alright.
buds. It's what I'm getting. It might be my taste buds, but I think it's quite orangey. No, it's nice. I like it. But I don't know if you guys fellas felt this, but for a brief second after you swallowed it, there's a weird sort of aftertaste to it, and it kind of tastes a little bit artificial, and I don't know what that is. I'm not a massive fan of that, but luckily that strange taste does go away very, very quickly. I don't know if you guys have felt that as well, but luckily that goes away very quickly.
I can't lie, Welly. I didn't get that vibe. Maybe because
No?
I don't. Maybe the beer has been unfiltered. Maybe I don't know. I don't really know enough about beers to comment on that sort of thing. But maybe that's because the reason. I don't know. Tiny Rebel are known for not filtering their beers too much, so that could be why.
I think it's maybe
I'm not sure.
You know, it's just down to personal preference, isn't it? I think
Yes,
it's
it
based on
is,
what you've
yes.
had before. It's kind of like if you've had a fairly quiet night and you've not actually cracked into a beer, you know, firstly, what are you doing? Secondly, if you've had that one sip of Cali Pale and you think, oh, that's gone down a bit, you know, artificial, all it's going to take is another sip of Cali Pale to get rid of that, you know. And that's one thing I will say for it as we move into the seshability ranking is, you know, this beer, more so than so many others I've tried, you know, and so many other beers that we will come to review probably, I genuinely believe this is one of the most seshable beers you will be able to buy in a supermarket, direct from brewery, in a bar, wherever. This, in terms of, you know, drinking 7 or 8 pints, unlike last week where Lupaloid was a 1 or 2 can job, 3 at most, this is a 7 or 8 pint. You know, if you're on a night out and you want a good drink to pre on and set a good base, I would say Cali Pale is your go-to for a craft beer. That's why for me personally, seshability ranks in at a solid 5 for this one. It's only the second 5 I've given in any category, and I think Cali Pale deserves it for the seshability. It's incredible. Swin, what are you reckoning? Because you were our sesh man last week. What do you think?
Echoing you straight away, 5 out of 5. Yeah. I don't think I can really say anything else about it. It's just so. I don't think smooth is the right word, but it's just so easy to drink.
Yeah.
And we always have our little chats before we do these podcasts. And you made an absolutely great point there, Con. This is the squash of beers.
Yeah.
It just is.
It is.
You can sink down 7 or 8 pints of this, and you probably get pissed from it. I can't lie, but it's going to be worth it. It's going to taste good. It's not going to sit on the tongue. It's definitely not going to ruin your palate. I mean, it might ruin Welly's palate with that initial tasting there. I don't know about that. But yeah, I mean, for me, solid 5 out of 5. No doubt about it. No doubt whatsoever.
You absolutely cannot deny.
In fact, it is that seshable. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear this as I'm doing this, but I am cracking open another one and I'm getting onto can number 2.
there we go.
Oh.
Yes.
It is.
Go
It
on.
is so damn seshable. It just is. It's
Sink-
not the best tasting beer in the world, and by no means is it the worst. But damn, you can fucking drink this on repeat.
Sink another one for the
Action
boys
beer
and
for it.
girls. Sink another one.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers, Swin.
Cal, come on. I feel like this is going to be a clean sweep across the board. Prove me wrong. What is it on the seshability for you?
Unfortunately, I'm siding with the boys. Solid 5 out of 5. I don't think I need to say too much else. You know, everyone's basically said, you know, really easy to drink. That's all you need to know. You could easily sink a number of pints of that. So yeah, easily echoing 5 out of 5. So which makes it a 5 all round unanimous vote.
Yeah, I
I
think
voted,
so.
yeah.
No matter what you say, Will, it's a 5,
yeah.
to be honest. No matter what you
Apo-
say.
apo-
Unless you give it a 1,
yeah.
it's a 5.
Actually,
Right.
Yeah.
Remind me.
First of all-
Sorry, Welly. Remind me. What was your taste rating for this one?
apologies.
I was about to say it was a 3 out of 5. My taste rating.
3 out of 5. Right.
Anyway, seshability is 5 out of 5, boys. So
That's
There
a
you go.
5 across the
I
board.
give it-
The first unanimous 5 has been given, boys. It's been done.
I mean,
let's go
it's
home.
great. I mean, it's great. I mean, throughout this whole podcast, I've been sporting a bit of a hangover, and I feel quite sick. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really want to drink a beer, but I drank that whole can, and you know what, it's perfectly fine. It is perfectly fine. It's 5%, mind, and it feels like a mid 3% beer, and so
It does, actually. Yes, that's a good
So-
point. It does.
So for 5% beer, that's really, really good. So 5 out of 5
absolutely.
for 5% beer.
Well, there we go. That's a podcast history. That's a first. Unanimous
First
5.
one.
Second episode in, unanimous 5 across the board for sessionability.
Like the Beacons of Gondor.
You're such a nerd. You've just completely lowered the tone of the whole podcast. You just made us seem like absolute virgins, but well done.
We are.
And on we jump to cost. Again, if you go direct to brewery, this is £2.30 from Tiny Rebel's own site. I bought this beer, I've bought it in 2 supermarkets now. I've bought it in both a Sainsbury's and an M&S, and it's not jumped above that in either of them. For me, that cost for this level of beer, and just purely for the amount you could drink, you could buy 6 or 7 and just smash them. I'm giving that a 5 on cost.
I was literally about to ask, is that a 5?
It's
Oh, yes,
a
absolutely.
5, Cal. It clocks in at a solid 5. What about yourself? Come on.
5,
Don't let me
mate.
down.
Unsurprising, it's a 5.
Ah, he's done it.
£2.30. You can't get wrong with that. Again, 5. Easy decision, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Will, come on. Don't let the boys down.
4.
Come on.
4.
Ah, he's done it.
Deal with it.
He's done it. Oh,
with it.
yes. He's
Deal
done
with
it.
it. Mainly because it's in the same price bracket as the Lupuloid.
Right.
And I
Yes.
enjoy Lupuloid
Yeah.
considerably more.
Yeah.
And if they're side by side, I
Yeah.
put the Lupuloid every time, so I cannot give it a 5 for that reason, unfortunately. But it's still
Absolutely.
good.
Yeah,
Very
first
good reason.
price.
that's a very good
I like
reason.
it.
I actually, do you know what? Maybe we got carried away, but fuck it, Cal. We've said it now. It's a 5.
5. We've committed, mate.
We've jumped in now.
gone for-
We've dived in. We've done more Sunday League.
100%. That's like a 2-foot challenge. Studs up, jump off the floor.
Absolutely. Give me the red.
That is
Send me
what-
off. Let's go over.
That's what we've done there.
Come on, Swin. Hit us with it. What is it?
4.
Ah, he's done it.
Oh.
There we go.
is a
Back
4.
to normality.
It is. Someone has to be sensible on this, surely to God.
Fair enough.
I'm going to echo what Will has said. The point that you made, I was literally about to make that point. If you put this next to a Lupuloid, I'm taking a Lupuloid. But also as well, you can get Tiny Rebel beers for the same price, which are nicer. That's why this is a 4. And that, I'm not going to elaborate on that, because I think that's a solid reason in itself.
Absolutely.
There are
Yes,
nicer beers
fair.
that Tiny Rebel do for the same price, and sometimes they're even bloody cheaper. So
Yeah, I
this
think
is a
so.
4.
I don't think you can
Agreed,
you
mate.
can dispute with that. I think 2 5s and a 4. That has to average out as a 4.5, doesn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think,
so.
when we're analysing what we're going to give the beer overall, that's probably going to play. I think sessionability and cost are going to bring the overall average up. But the
Absolutely.
two important stats to mention, which are probably, can design and taste, they've both scored in at 3.5. So I don't think, based on what the overall average is, you can't ignore what the really important stats are saying. As important as sessionability is, I do think that initial grabbing you in and the initial
Yeah.
taste are probably 2 of the more important stats.
Definitely, yeah.
Agreed.
I would say, you can disagree if you think I'm wrong, I think overall this beer clocks in at a solid 4 for me. What about
I
yourselves?
cannot argue with that. I can't argue with it, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
solid 4 for me.
It's a good beer. It's
It is a good beer.
Nothing
Again,
more, nothing less. It's a good beer.
It is on the lower end of Tiny Rebel, but Tiny Rebel are one of the best, if not the best at the game. It's
Yeah.
a fact. They're undoubtedly the best in Wales at the game, and maybe the
Bloody
whole
hell,
UK.
boys.
I don't know.
you lads need to flipping chill out.
No,
Christ.
they are. I'm sorry. They are. As much as we like to praise them, it's a well known fact that they are.
So guys, we've analysed the evidence, we've given it scores across the board, scores across the doors. What are we giving it out of 5 overall?
Scores across the boards and scores across the doors. I love it, son.
That's it.
I love it.
I'm gonna jump to you first, Liam, for your overall score out of 5. And what are you giving it, son?
Yeah, it's got to be a 4, isn't it? It's got to be 4 out of 5. Just based on the stats alone. I mean, we are all stat men for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah,
Weird flex, but okay, sure.
Stats win games, mate. Stats win
They
games.
they do. Stats win games. It's not. It's all about possession, isn't it? Nah, 4 out of 5, without a doubt. However, that does come with a caveat. Arguably, the most two important sort of factors that we have to take into account. They do score on the lower end, so
Yeah.
you know, we do have to take that into consideration. But however, it's a 4 out of 5, as most Tiny Rebel beers will be. Some even a 4.5, but yeah, solid 4.5, solid 4 out of 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that. I'm going to give it the 4 out of 5. I think it's important to note, like you said, the two most important factors come in slightly lower, but that's only because of the standards that Tiny Rebel have set for themselves, as opposed to anything else. It's not like, oh, there's so many beers that are, you know, taste the same, that, you know, that are slightly better. It's kind of, you know, they've got their own thing going on, but they've fallen short of the mark, in my opinion, for what their other beers are. I'm going to give it a 4 as well, based purely on stats alone. I think you know, it's kind of the flip side of last week, whereby the first two were really strong, and then the end two, bar cost, kind of, you know, let it down slightly.
Yes.
And I think this week it's kind of the reverse, whereas, you know, the sessionability and the cost are what boost this beer up.
It comes down to distinctiveness, really, doesn't it? Because
Yeah.
Tiny Rebel beers are so distinct, and this one, it just isn't. I want to be nice, and I want to sing from the heavens of how good Tiny Rebel is, but this one just isn't distinctive. That's all it's coming down to. It really is.
What about you, Cal? Are you echoing the 4, or have you got some controversial opinion that we need to be made aware of?
I don't today. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. Also giving it a 4 out of 5. I mean, yeah, like I say, you guys made literally all the points that I was gonna make anyway. So, so to be honest, I feel like 4 out of 5, solid rating. It's a good beer. Like, you know, we definitely aren't, you know, slagging it off at all. But overall solid pint.
There's just better options. That's all it is.
Yeah.
There's just better options.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. You've always given it a 4 out of 5. I'm so sorry. It's a 3.5 for me.
Oh,
I know. I've given really
Dick.
high scores for the sessionability and the price factor, but ultimately, taste and the can design, I think they're a little bit more important, and they have brought it down just a little bit for me. I mean, it's a nice beer. It's a nice, good beer, but when I go to the supermarket or the local craft beer shop or go online, I feel there's just so many more options that I can get for the same price or just ease of purchasing. So I'm so sorry, it's a 3.5, but that doesn't knock
right.
it. It's a good
You're
beer.
gonna be over
It's
more
a
enough
good
anyway.
score. 3.5 is a good score.
Yeah.
Still, to be fair, considering, like, that's, you know, it's above average. You know,
Yes.
it's above
Yeah, it
half,
is, yeah.
so it's not a bad score by any stretch. I just think there's not any one Tiny Rebel beer I think that's, you know, deserves lower than a 4. Even their, you know, what we've kind of categorically put forward as probably their worst foot, which, you know, begs the question, why did we even review it anyway?
Whose suggestion was this? I mean, come on.
Yeah. It's you know, obviously next week we've got a much more distinctive and divisive beer on the horizon, so I imagine
I
this
cannot
will
wait.
be
That's gonna be such a
it'll
rough
probably
episode.
be vastly different.
I mean, you guys can't see my face where I am smiling like a baby on Christmas Eve. I cannot wait to try that blueberry muffin beer.
I'm very,
I
very
can see it
pumped.
right now. It's to the right of me, and only a few days left, my dear can. It's going to be great.
I'm actually getting sick thinking about it. Christ.
You have to buy a muffin to have with it as well.
Oh, we are.
that's,
Oh,
you know,
we should,
part of
we
the
should,
course.
yeah.
God.
Should we all like try and buy muffins in different places? So, for example, you're from Essex, Cal, so you can go to like Morrison's or Sainsbury's or somewhere posh.
Come on, mate. Morrison's pot. No, mate. I'm going Waitrose.
The
then.
fact you said Morrison's is not posh, it just fucking proves that you're posh. That's all that
Mate,
needs to be said.
Yeah, mate. I'm going Waitrose. Come on.
Oh,
Get yourself to a properly licensed outlet, like a Waitrose or an M&S for your pastry and your muffin needs. You know, why? Like, do you know what, Carl? I'm going to back you up here. These peasants
Yeah.
going to Asda for their muffins. Get a grip of yourself.
bullshit, mate.
Oh God. But you know, in summary, bring it back to the Cali Pale. I think you cannot argue. Overall, I'm sorry, Will. I know you want to give it lower, but you're a bitch, and we've overruled you. It's a 4.
My face right now. My
Will the
face.
lawyer has been lawyered, so yeah.
Yeah, Will, do you know what? 4, sustained. It stands. It's a 4.
Mine's always a 3.5, and you can tell me otherwise.
You'll always know. But yeah, that's been episode 2, and I think by and large, I think we covered all the bases. I think I can't say that we did the beer an injustice. I think overall we've done a pretty solid job there. I can't think of anything we've really missed with Cali Pale, unless you guys have got any ending notes you want to give the beer.
Well, I tell you what, that's good fucking timing to end this podcast, 'cause I've just finished off my beers, so I think that's really good timing.
All right,
Yeah,
boys. Well,
good.
let's send her home. I'll, thanks for joining us again. Again, remember, follow us on socials: Instagram at the Brewlag Podcast, Twitter is the same handle at the Brewlag Podcast. We are on Facebook and YouTube as well. All you have to search, literally in any search bar, is the Brewlag Podcast. Just don't be stingy. Give us some love. Give us some follows and some subscribes, and you won't be disappointed. You get to hear Callum's lovely voice every week, and Will absolutely ripping apart any beer, while me and Liam just sit here and get progressively drunk on the podcast.
It's the way of life. The two boys living in Wales. It's just the way of life, isn't it?
That's it. Absolutely. Again, I've been Connor. He's been Liam.
Oh yes.
He's been Cal, and he's been Will.
All right.
We've very much enjoyed breaking down this one for you, and we'll see you on the next one. See you later.
Cheers,
guys.
fellas. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, fellas. Nice to see you. Bye bye.